Squadron. Beautiful. My name is Mickey DiPaolo, and I want to welcome you all to the Burbank Veterans Committee in the City of Burbank, Veterans Day Ceremony 2023. Thank you all for being here. I'm probably going to ask this several times, but could all veterans please stand? If you wish, please stand. Welcome home to all of you. And for you veterans that are here for your first time, welcome. And I hope we see you several more times. God bless each and every one of you. I'm proud to stand alongside you as a proud veteran. Once again, we want to thank Cusimano Realty Group for sponsoring our flyover. This is a very, very special part of our ceremonies each and every Memorial Day and Veterans Day. And we couldn't do it without Cusimano Realty Group. So let's have a nice hand for Cusimano Realty Group. Thank you. Thank you so much. Also at this time, I'd like to take time to remember Chris Rushing, President of the Condor Squadron's Officers and Airmen's Association. Chris was known to many as a great man and a skilled pilot, passionate about aviation and serving his community. He tragically perished in a mid-air collision after winning the gold race in the T6 class of the National Championship Air Races in Reno, Nevada on September 17th, 2023. Chris was a dedicated leader and enthusiastically led the Condor Squadron in its mission to preserve our nation's military aviation heritage, flying hundreds of memorial flights in honor of our veterans and support of our local communities, Burbank included, and including countless 4th of July celebrations and Veterans Day Memorial Day ceremonies right here in Burbank, as I just mentioned. Chris will be missed, and here comes the Condor Squadron. They read our mind. They're here, we're honoring Chris. And the Condor Squadron is guaranteed they will continue the mission in his honor. God bless you, sir. Rest in peace. Slow hand salute. Also, before we do the Armed Forces medley, Edwin Taylor, who's a teacher at Monterey High School here in Burbank, his students decided they wanted to do something to honor and respect veterans on this very special day. So at the VFW table, please walk over there. They have our American flag with letters to every veteran. They wrote some really wonderful, heartfelt words there. So please, before you leave today, especially you veterans, go over there and check it out. It was wonderful. So thank you, Edwin Taylor and Monterey High School. And also welcome to the BHS Bulldog High School baseball team, Burbank High, and Coach Bob Hart. They're here every Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Thank you for coming today, soldiers and brothers. And now for the Armed Forces medley by the Burbank Community Band, led by Michael Stanley. Please stand when your service theme song comes on. Stand up for your service theme song. Last time I blew this one, so that's why I'm kind of keeping my mouth shut today. Happy birthday to the Corps, 248 years old today. U.S. Air Force. U.S. Navy. Let's have a nice hand for the Burbank Community Band. Wonderful rendition of our service theme songs. And now for the presentation of colors by the Burbank VFW 8310, who we're very proud to have here today. And after that, we will do the national anthem to be sung by Emerson Riley of the John Boris High School Powerhouse. What a beautiful voice she has. And the flag salute to be led by Glenn Cooper, Vietnam vet and member of our Veterans Committee.
Arms.
And now I'd like to present Miss Emerson Riley.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Whoa, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Would you please join me, excuse me, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. For those veterans, you may render a hand salute if you prefer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mary. Arms. Ready. 2. More time. March. Left. 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 Right turn. March.
Please be seated. Let's have a nice hand for Emerson Riley. Beautiful rendition of our national anthem. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't honor my brothers from the VFW. We've been planning for 2 years to start doing some color guard and honor guard details throughout the San Fernando Valley. And today was our first color guard experience. And they've been practicing. They're all combat vets. And they are poured their heart and soul into this. I'm so proud to stand alongside them and be a VFW member and a fellow vet. And those gentlemen are Eric Reyes, Desert Storm, George Tavera, excuse me. Evan Renteria. And a fellow Vietnam vet, George Young. George was combat wounded in Vietnam, Veterans Day, November 11th, 1969. And he's with us today, and I'm so grateful. He's my brother forever, as all these gentlemen are, as all you veterans are. Once again, thank you for letting me speak on behalf of them. As you all know, Mr. Jimmy Weldon used to come here and do our I Am the Flag rendition every year. And fortunately today, we have a recording of Jimmy doing that right here at our ceremony. I remember the first year he did it, everybody was like, whoa. And you walked out of here feeling this day is even more wonderful thanks to Jimmy and his passion. Jimmy himself was a World War II vet. He was in George Patton's 3rd Army, Combat Engineers, as one of the first troops to march into Buchenwald concentration camp to liberate the surviving Jewish prisoner. He was 21 years old at that time. Jimmy passed away at 99. He almost made it to 100. We celebrated his birthday on this past September 23rd. All over at the VFW, at the American Legion, Post 43. Jimmy had an impact, to say the least. I grew up with him when he was Webster Webfoot, as some of you old guys out there did the same thing. Jimmy never met a stranger. He loved everyone. His family, friends, military members, neighbors, animals, the city of Burbank, his country, and most of all, his God. Jimmy his life was very Christian-based. He's sorely missed, but today we're lucky to have Jimmy with us. He's with us in spirit, and he's telling Mickey, stop crying up there. I can hear him saying that. So, without further ado, we'd like to have the recording of Jimmy and I Am the Flag. Enjoy.
I am the flag of the United States of America, conceived in the dreams of liberty and the hopes of freedom. I was designed by the hands of Betsy Ross, and her sewing basket was my cradle. Though I was never an orphan, I was adopted by the Continental Congress in 1777 and proclaimed the national emblem of a nation newly born on this continent, fighting valiantly for survival and destined to bring to all mankind a new concept in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I rode with Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys at the Battle of Fort Bennington. I was flown above the decks of Old Ironsides and the mass of Yankee clippers. I blazed the trail with Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett. I led the settlers coming west and crossed Death Valley in a covered wagon. Once I fell to the ground at Custer's last stand to Little Bighorn. There were no living hands left to pick me up, but I galloped up the slopes of San Juan Hill with Colonel Teddy Roosevelt and his Rough Riders in the United States Cavalry. I was carried through the halls of Montezuma onto the shores of Tripoli by the United States Marine Corps. I stayed with the boys till it was over there. On the battlefields of the Marne, Chateau Thierry, Saint Mihiel, and the Argonne Forest, I saw many of the youth and manhood of our nation fall and lie still in death. They'd given their last full measure of blood. The war was over for them forever, but I kept my lonely vigil over their graves and stayed to watch the poppies grow amid the crosses, row on row in Flanders field. I was raised by 6 brave Marines and sailors during the hell of Iwo Jima in the final hours of World War II. Haven't changed much in 240 years. I still have my regional 13 stripes, and as each state came in the Union, a new star was proudly added to the constellation of my blue field. Start with 13, now there are 50. I've draped the caskets of our nation's heroes and borne to their last resting place the bodies of presidents, generals, admirals, humble privates, and the unknown soldier. Wherever free men gather, wherever there's justice, equality, faith, hope, charity, truth, and brotherly love, there too am I. When you stand with your hand over your heart and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to me, don't merely mouth the words, but think of what they mean to you and mean what you say. And when you come to the phrase, one nation under God, remember it matters not what your religious belief. It only matters that you hold your faith dear, that you practice it daily, and you preserve it forever. History will never write my obituary, for I am the stars and stripes forever. I'm Old Glory. I'm your flag. I am you.
Thank you, Jimmy. God bless you. And as he always would say at the end, go get him, Tiger. And thanks so much to David Bartlett for providing recording. I like to make this every year, every Veterans Day. Jimmy's was just a wonderful human being, and his spirit will still be living. And now for the invocation by Mr. Paul McKenna. He's a National Guard, Army, and Marine Corps vet. Mr. McKenna.
Ladies and gentlemen, please prepare yourself in accordance with your faith or custom. Heavenly Father, we ask that you honor us with your presence this morning. We come to this memorial twice a year, in the spring to remember and to honor the fallen. But today, on the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month, we come to celebrate. We come to celebrate what all veterans long for, and that is peace. For at this moment in 1918, 105 years ago, the armistice took effect, and the world shared a moment of peace. This is what we've come to celebrate. We've come to celebrate the possibility of peace. We look to our political leaders and we ask them to guide our country in a way that will keep our youth out of harm's way. We ask that they understand that we are here today to honor the veterans that have stepped away from the crowd and dedicated themselves to honor something larger than themselves, knowing that the price of failure was that they would not be going home. They elected to serve our country anyway. We ask you to acknowledge the service and sacrifice of the family members that have had to wait, hope, and pray. As we proceed with this morning's program, we ask our leadership to remember that this is a celebration of service that includes the possibility of the ultimate sacrifice. It is not about political positioning, it is what every veteran longs for, and that is the possibility of peace. Heavenly Father, in a world of turmoil, let's celebrate the veterans that strive for this. Peace in our world. Pray for peace. God bless.
Thank you, Paul. And Paul's son, who was here 22 years ago as an infant, is a current U.S. Marine. I'd like to welcome Corporal Liam McKenna. Give us a wave, Liam. Thanks for joining us. To say Paul and Janet are proud parents is an understatement. And now for the rendition of, well, Pat Wamsley is unable to be here today, but she wanted to send her love to everybody, and especially to the veterans. As y'all know, Pat wears her heart on her sleeve, and her son is a Vietnam vet, and she is so proud to be an American. And we'll miss her today, but we hope and pray she'll be with us on Memorial Day. And it's my honor to present Emerson Riley to sing God Bless America. Miss Riley.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, through the mountains, to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. My home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, through the mountains, to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home. Thank you.
Let's give another hand for Emerson Riley. What a wonderful rendition. Pat Wamsley would have a big smile on her face. Thank you, Emerson. That was wonderful. You know, we welcome all the veterans here today, but recently we had a World War II veteran was laid to rest yesterday. And I wanted to recognize him and give him the respect he deserves. He'd been to several of our ceremonies. He was a proud member of the Burbank VFW. Hubert Edwin Gallagher, nicknamed Bert. He was a part of our greatest generation. He died in late October and was laid to rest yesterday. Bert was in the Army Air Corps during World War II in southern Italy. In 1943, he served with the 15th Army Air Force, 464th Bomb Squadron under the 55th Bomb Wing, providing B-24 strategic air support. Volunteering for the service on April 1st, 1943, he hoped to be a hotshot pilot, but actually became a waist gunner on a B-54 Liberator. He and his crew of 10 included 2 waist gunners who stood at windows firing 50 caliber machine guns at German Luftwaffe aircraft, which were trying to prevent them from attacking German targets. The Liberator crew had support from Tuskegee Airmen who escorted them to the German targets. Rest in peace, Lieutenant Colonel Bob Friend. At one point, they landed at a base in Italy where groundsmen were amazed to see the waist gunners walking around. The B-42, according to the groundsmen, had about 200 bullet holes, and waist gunners usually didn't survive such an onslaught. It wasn't their time. When he left the service on October 25th, 1945, he married Joy, the woman who had waited at home for him. They bought a house in Glendale where Bert lived for 70 years, raising 5 children, including son Patrick, daughters Sharon, Kathy, Mary Jo, and Annie. He worked for the Glendale Fire Department for 25 years, so he continued to serve after he served in the military, followed by jobs in real estate, tax prep, and teaching fire science. Although he lived in Glendale, he had strong ties to the Burbank community, where he was a strong supporter of the Burbank VFW. Rest in peace, sir. Now today we have a very special guest here. He's also a World War II, Korea, and Vietnam vet. He's 99 years young. I'm talking about Mr. Kenneth Stanley. We're honored and pleased to have him with us today. Ken Stickley, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Did I say Stanley? Leave it to me, like I told you. I apologize, sir. Mr. Ken Stickley, we're honored to have you here today.
Yeah.
Could you please stand, sir? Mr. Stickley drove here with his son all the way from Florida. And he wouldn't let his son drive. So, what an inspiration. In March of 2024, Mr. Stickley, as he says, he'll be officially a senior citizen. He turns 100 years old. Mr. Stickley is an Army veteran who enlisted as soon as possible and served with the 29th Infantry's Artillery Regiment. Notable campaigns included D-Day, where he landed on Omaha Beach in Normandy, France. From there, the 29th and Ken fought across France towards Germany, seeing nearly 11 months of continuous combat, including the 7 major offenses. After World War II, Ken spent a brief period home before re-enlisting in the Army, and he ended up being deployed to Korea. After separating from the military, Mr. Stickley was a government contractor tasked with educating soldiers and foreign allies on new technologies being used. During his time as a contractor, he went to Vietnam and was able to meet with his oldest son, also Kenneth, who was deployed as a helicopter pilot during Vietnam. Welcome home, Kenneth. To both Kenneth. Mr. Stickley and his family love America and what our flag stands for. The freedoms we all have, which brave men are willing to fight, brave men and women are willing to fight and preserve. God bless you, Mr. Stickley. Happy Veterans Day. I'd like to ask if Mr. Stanley can bring his dad up here to the podium. Stickley. Oh, I'm going to hear about this from my buddies tomorrow. And today, too. Yeah, you're a little downhill there, huh? Mr. Kenneth Stickley. I would like to present Mr. Stickley with a VFW 8310 challenge coin. I know he's a VFW member in Florida, life member, and makes me proud to be a VFW member and stand alongside this wonderful gentleman. But I'd love to give him a challenge coin from the VFW Burbank 8310 at Gudgeon. We'd like to present with our challenge coin.
I got braces. I'd like you to walk over there. End of the year, I'll be a senior citizen. Then I can get all these discounts. I hit that 100 mark.
Thank you, sir.
All righty.
God bless you.
Good.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, Mr. Stanley, for your brave service, not only in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Kenneth Stickley.
Also known as Stanley.
Once you get that in your...
Only because
See what everybody's got to look forward to, all you young
I
people?
don't know anything else. That's
It's
why.
wonderful. We got to hear Jimmy Weldon today, a bio on a World War II veteran, and also Mr. Stickley, a most inspirational man. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce the mayor of the city of Burbank, Mr. Constantine Anthony.
Good morning. What a beautiful morning. Thank you, Mr. Stickley, for coming down and driving. Sorry about the price of gas out here. So first things first, good morning to everyone. I don't lead this city on my own. We have a number of elected officials, a number of city dignitaries here with us. I want to go through them real quick. We have, first up, our State Senator, Mr. Anthony Portantino is here. For the next year, we get to have two state senators. We have State Senator Caroline Menjivar is here as well, Marine Corps veteran. And our State Assembly member, Laura Friedman, as well. From Congressman Adam Schiff's office, we have Mary Havagomian. I'm joined from the city with our Vice Mayor, Nick Schultz. And one of our council members, Zizette Mullins. We have our Assistant City Manager, Judy Wilkie, is here. And our newly appointed, soon-to-be Assistant City Manager, Courtney Paget, is also here. There she is in the back. Our Fire Department Chief, Danny Alvarez. Danny. Chief Alvarez over here. There we go. I love that they always bring the flag out. That's really great. And Director of Parks and Rec, Marissa Garcia, who helps put all this together with the Veterans Committee. I want to thank the Veterans Committee, actually. The Burbank Veterans Committee, with the Parks and Rec Department, they do a lot of work around here, and they put this together. They put a Memorial Day together. Burbank Veterans Committee has worked diligently since its inception to plan our Veterans event each year. I want to ask the members of the Burbank Veterans Committee to stand up so we can acknowledge their work. All my Veterans Committee members, yep, there you are. Let's thank them for their dedication to ensure that the sacrifices of our heroes are never forgotten. They do the work every year, and it is excellent work. I mean, look at the turnout, look at this wonderful presentation. We really thank all the work that you guys put together. We really do. Thank you. I have a bunch of stuff that's written here. We say these things every year. It's put together months in advance. I'm going to go off script a little bit. Mr. Paul McKenna earlier mentioned the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, Armistice Day in 1918. The 11th day is tomorrow. Today's November 10th. We have a funny thing we do in this country where we tend to take national holidays and we move them to a Monday or a Friday to give us a 3-day weekend. Spend more time with our families, take a vacation, go on a trip. And I'm not opposed to that. I can appreciate that. But I think sometimes what happens is we take it for granted. We forget what the holiday is for. 105 years ago, The armistice was the end of the war to end all wars. We know now that it wasn't. Many wars came after. Worse wars came after. Right now, today, halfway across the world, there are multiple wars happening. Armistice Day, which became Veterans Day, was meant to serve veterans with the one thing that they wished for when they're out on the battlefield, and that's peace. There's nobody who wants peace more than the veterans when they were serving, the military enlisted folks on the battlefield. And sometimes here, on a 3-day weekend, we can sometimes forget about that. We take for granted the peace that we have. So let us remember that to honor those who serve is to grant them peace. That's what we fight for. It's said that a good soldier doesn't enlist to fight wars. A good soldier enlists to end wars. And that's what a true fight is for. Forgive me for going off script a little bit. Thank you for coming out this morning and being here present with all of us. I want to get some of our elected officials up here to say a few words. First up, the only elected official who is a veteran to serve the city of Burbank at any level, city, state, county, federal, our very own State Senator, Caroline Menjivar.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. Good morning, everyone, especially to my veterans out there. Senator Caroline Menjivar, your newly elected senator, too, for the next year. So excited and honored to be with all here. It's been a little emotional, I think, for all veterans. It gets a little emotional, especially that rendition of the recording that we heard about the flag. I was 20 years old, not knowing what I was doing. I enlisted into the Marine Corps, thinking I was going to go put on a uniform, defend my country, but it was bigger than that. It was about the pride in hearing the Pledge of Allegiance and seeing the American flag wave. That pride that has been instilled and will last in me for decades to come. It was the dedication, the leadership skills that I learned in the Marine Corps, albeit upset and frustrated of how it was being taught to me, a little too stern. But it was those skills that I maintain to today. And every November that comes, I'm reminded a little extra of what I did almost 20 years ago. And it's during these 2 weeks that I feel extra honored and special to be an American, to be a veteran. I am part of a 10% of women who are living veterans today in our entire nation. Only 10% of us. I am so proud to have that title. I'm so proud to be linked arm in arm with my brothers and sisters in arms. But first and foremost, to my devil dogs out there, happy 248th birthday, hoorah! Because tomorrow is Veterans Day. Today we celebrate the Marine Corps birthday, and tomorrow we honor every single veteran. So to what the mayor mentioned, this 3-day weekend we get, don't forget that Veterans Day is actually tomorrow. And then it's tomorrow that we should always make sure to thank our veterans. I had the honor a couple of months ago up in Sacramento of meeting a World War II veteran, the last survivor of the Pearl Harbor attacks, Louis Conter, a U.S. Navy veteran who actually got married in the Van Nuys courthouse and has a little connection to Southern California, but now lives in NorCal. We got all the senators, we got his autobiography, and I read that book. And at 20 years old, he was on the USS Arizona when the attacks happened. And he re-enlisted even after that and fought in the Korean War, was shot down 3 times, swam in the oceans while sharks circled him and his comrades, spent years and years retrieving our military veterans out of harm's way. And even after that, even after he took off his uniform, and like many of us do, we continue to wear an invisible uniform. A uniform that Mikey wears, that Paul wears, that I wear today, and that so many of you wear. Even though our uniforms are hung up, and probably because they don't fit us anymore, at least not mine, we put on a different one, where we continue to serve our country, our community, in whatever shape or form we can. Whether that means driving endless amount of miles from Florida to come to Burbank, a place that perhaps Mr. Stickler has no connection to, but we go that extra mile. I today serve in a different capacity, but it's always with that, I call it my Superman underneath, my Marine Corps uniform underneath at all times. I want to thank every veteran that continues to answer to that call, that continues to provide volunteerism through the Burbank Veterans Committee, that serve as CEOs of hospitals in my district, like the All of You Hospital. The CEO is a Navy veteran, and so many veterans across my district that are continuing to do the work. My cover off to you. Thank you so much for everything you've done for our country, for our community, for the greater California. I will always, always have you first in mind in anything we do, because we need to make sure we eradicate veteran homelessness. We need to make sure we're closing the gap for our mental health for our veterans. Because you don't understand, those of you who aren't veterans, it was instilled in us not to ask for help. It was instilled in us that boo-boo was okay. Motrin and warm socks, that's all you got for anything that was wrong. It is hard to undo years of training and being instilled to say that you will march on no matter what. So have a little patience with us. We're getting there. We just need all the help we can in California to help ensure that we're never forgetting all the sacrifices that our veterans have made. Happy Veterans Day.
She's been in office less than a year. She's already doing great stuff. And due to redistricting for another year, we still have another state senator, Anthony Portantino. Come on up.
Good morning. It is truly an honor to be here. I'm State Senator Anthony Portantino. Unlike my colleague, I did not have the honor to serve our country in the military, and I want to give her a big shout out. Let's give another big round of applause for Carolyn Menjivar, who is serving proudly in the State Senate after serving our country for 7.5 years in the Marine Corps. And I was asking Caroline a little bit about her desire to serve in the Marines, and I'm going to embarrass you a little bit. She said she chose it. She chose it. She was called to be a Marine. And we talk about the honor of serving our country, but we often forget that it's a calling to serve our country. Yesterday, I was on a high school campus, and a young high school senior came up to me and said, I want to go to West Point. And I made the assumption that he was from a military family. And I said, oh, are you from a military family? And he said, no, I just want to serve our country. He's been called to serve our country, like Caroline, like all the veterans here today. So do me a favor, if you're sitting next to a veteran, say thank you. Say thank you. Thank you for your service. Introduce yourself. Say thank you. Because we get to do what we get to do because all of those veterans did what they do every single day. Now, November 11th is a bittersweet day for me because it's my older brother's birthday. My older brother Michael, and some of you know that he tragically took his own life a decade ago. And it makes me think about his suicide, but also the fact that every single day we lose 22 veterans to suicide. Every single day in this country. That is something we should not be proud of, right? That is something we should not be proud of. And so I think the toll that military service has on the individual that Caroline mentioned and on the family. And I always look out to Gary Brick, who lost a brother during Vietnam, to his service for our country. It is a toll It starts with a calling. It's an honor, but it's a toll. And so I'm just here to say thank you for your service. And as Caroline says, we need to do better. We will do better. And I'm just here to say God bless America and thank you for your service to our great country, every single veteran out there. So thank you.
From the 44th District, California State Assembly Member Laura Friedman.
Good morning, everybody. I always am so grateful to the city of Burbank every time I come out for Veterans Day or Memorial Day to see so many people here. Thank you for being here today to thank the veterans. And I want to thank the city of Burbank for hosting this event every year. I want to thank the Veterans Committee. And can we give a round of applause to Mickey? He is such a treasure, and I don't think anyone has thanked him yet today. Thank you, Mickey. I know it embarrasses him, but whether or not he mispronounces a last name, he's the best. He is the best. This is a day when we do need to take stock and to thank those who protect us every year. And all it takes is looking around the globe right now to see that tyrants and despots and terrorists do need to have people stand up against them. That nations have a right to defend themselves. And when that happens, it's members of the armed forces and it's veterans that answer the call. And when that doesn't happen, we see the results of that. And so we all need to be grateful all the time. Now, looking around the world also makes me profoundly grateful for our nation, for our Constitution, for the democracy that we all enjoy every single day. That's what gives us the freedoms we have. That's what allows people of different races, different nationalities to live together. That's what gives us the fundamental rights that we all enjoy and the opportunities we have in this nation. And it's our veterans who have protected us and protected that democracy. So we really do owe them everything. I want to just take a point of personal privilege to mention, I've mentioned before that all the men in my family are veterans, and I want to mention one in particular, which is my Uncle Alan. My Uncle Alan served two tours as a combat medic in Vietnam. And when he came home, he was changed. And I was a very young child at the time, but he has struggled his whole life. And my family didn't really talk much about it or about why. But when you talk to him, he will talk about the profound impact that that experience had on him. And it's gratifying to see that in our nation now we're having those conversations. Now, I have a colleague that I serve with named Devin Mathis, and we disagree on policy all the time. But when he stands up to talk about his experience as a combat veteran and his own PTSD, I am so grateful for him for being vocal and using his platform to call attention to that when it's hard for us as a nation sometimes to give that voice. And it's certainly hard for those veterans to advocate sometimes for themselves. And we have to do more. You know, several years ago when I was a Glendale Council member, we built an affordable housing project, 100% affordable housing for returning veterans. And people at the time said, why do you need to do that? These are young people, they don't need this kind of housing. And we built that. It's called Veterans Village. It's in Glendale, across from where Clancy's used to be. If you ever want to drive by it, it's beautiful. But the stories we heard from the people who moved in, and by the way, there was a waiting list for those units, was a constant story of people who served at the time in Iraq and Afghanistan and came home and they struggled. They struggled with health issues. They struggled with their own PTSD issues. And then things would happen in their lives. They would lose a job, maybe because of medical issues. And then the next thing they knew, they were sleeping in their car. But over and over again, people who were too proud to ask for help. People who themselves were used to standing up and offering service, who didn't know how to ask for those services themselves. So I would ask all of you to, while you celebrate veterans and acknowledge them, to do whatever you can to help them, to give voice to their struggles. Give them a job. I hired a veteran in my office, a Navy veteran named Sebastian Lorenzo, and I'll tell you, it's the best hire I ever made. Talk about someone who knows how to serve and serve the community. So do that for the veterans, renew our commitment to thanking them and offering them the support that they need here. And thank you again so much for being here to thank our veterans. And thank you, Mr. Stickley. Thank you to all the veterans. We see you and we appreciate you.
Before I hand it over back to Mickey to finish us off, I want to tell you just a quick story. About 10 years ago, my brother, who was named after my grandfather, found my grandfather's journal from World War II. And he read it, and he had it digitized, and ended up looking for some of the gentlemen and the families mentioned in that journal, the name of the servicemen. He was a documentary filmmaker at the time, so he decided to travel the country and film the stories of these men who had served with my grandfather. For the last 10 years now, he has been working for the USS Hornet Museum in Alameda, up in Northern California, and he travels the country still to this day, recording the stories of veterans. If you are interested, if you are a family member and you want your veteran and your family to put their story down on digital, filmed professionally, he does it free of charge. Please find me afterwards. You can email me directly. You can use my city email, kanthony@burbankca.gov. He travels the country and talks to all kinds of veterans, and he gets them to tell their stories in ways that even the family members hadn't heard of. He's very good at this. Definitely consider it, and I'll be here if you want to talk about it afterwards. It is an amazing process that he does, and he keeps it for posterity's sake, and for a lot of museums around the country, they use the footage. So I want to bring up Mickey DiPaolo again from the Veterans Committee in Burbank, and thank you all for being here.
Before we conclude our ceremony, I gotta say happy birthday to my brother from another mother. He's a Marine, celebrates his birthday on the Marine Corps birthday. I'm talking about my lifelong friend and brother. He's more of a brother than he is a friend, Fred Ortega. And also, I want to thank the staff. Without the staff support and the city council support, we could not do these ceremonies. You know, our Veterans Committee, I love and respect each and every one of them, and they serve with the purpose, no political axe to grind. They want to recognize veterans and their families in the best way possible. So thank you all. And also, I want to thank the staff, Diego Garcia, Chris Smith, Marissa Garcia, our department head, Catherine Labrato, Noah Altman, whose dad is a lifelong friend and also a brother Vietnam vet, Jerry Altman, Dave Mudgett, Ressa Radilia, Gianni Rivisi, Chris Chin, and Brianna Castillo. Thank you all staff for your help. We appreciate it very, very much. And now I'd like to introduce Veterans Committee member and veteran Paul McKenna for the benediction. Mr. McKenna.
Heavenly Father, we ask for your benediction to rest on this day. We ask that you bless our country's leaders by steering them away from the conflicts and strife. That you will bless the veterans that we have honored here today. 22 years ago, my wife and I sat in these seats with our son. He was born September 5th, 6 days before the 9/11 attack. His mother took a Marine uniform off a bear, and he wore it here for the first time. He was 9 weeks old. In the years to come, he watched his father leave more times than he could count. having missed 3 years by the time his 8th birthday rolled around. Today he stands wearing his own Marine Corps uniform. I ask our leaders to look at him. Look at his youth. Look at his optimism. Let's serve him. Let's serve his generation by fighting for peace. On this Veterans Day, Heavenly Father, we ask that you guide our leaders towards that goal. Nothing we accomplish in the world is more significant. Peace in our world, our country, our community. Today we celebrate those that have given themselves in the name of peace. For men, women, and families such as these, we thank you, O Lord. Pray for peace.
And now, please stand for taps to be performed by the Burbank Community Band. Please be seated. Thank you all. Thank you all for being at our Veterans Day ceremony 2023. We look forward to seeing you all on Memorial Day, the last Monday in May. And stay well and God bless. Have a wonderful holiday season. And I want to quote a couple of sentences off our memorial plaque up here. To those who return, gratitude and peace. God bless you all. Thank you for being here. We'll see you on Memorial Day. God bless.